Powerful and solid. Savage is firmer, too hard for some. Savage is more fun with a longer barrel. Savage is, how can I say it? Savage is slammed. Savage is what I have to understand. Savage is an English poet. Savage is a brand created by young designers. Savage is stuck in front of a bush or a big stone. Savage is here, alas. I'll now tell you the story of a failed attempt at not doing poetry. I wanted to do prose, maybe even write a novel. But to me, writing prose, meaning a narrative with people, places, and events, is kind of a bore. So the question was, how can I write prose without actually writing it? I first thought I could record an improvised story that I would say aloud. After all, Stendhal did it. He dictated his Chartreuse de Parme in about 50 days. But then I would have to retype it all, and this is still writing. Then I started looking into voice-to-text converters. I tried a couple to find that what I was saying was becoming something completely different. Why then say something at all? I soon found out that the closest thing to nothing for these tools is a name, because it's usually out of the lexicon. In consequence, the machine always tries to approximate, to find the closest words to a name. And of course, it's always way off. So much so, in fact, that in time, if I repeat a name in a way that the name itself dissolves into sounds, the machine kind of creates its own complex narrative with people, places, and events. Basically, what you'll hear tonight is what speech recognition software hears if I repeat a single name over and over again. In the first example, I use Steve Savage, which is my name. In the second example, I use Jacques Lacan, which is Jacques Lacan's name. Both are repeated about 300 times. You'll notice that the second example is entitled On Wittgenstein's Hard Drive, because I limited the software's word database to the philosopher's work, namely the Tractatus and the philosophical investigation. One last thing, in the first example, you'll hear of Steve's Augustine. This, as unintentional as it may be, is quite apropos, since I follow one of Augustine's saying, which is, I err, therefore I am. In the second example, you'll hear the word chocolate, which sounds very much like Jacques Lacan, said in a very long way. So this is from Leçon number 3, Steve Savage, my Antoine Douanel. The dishonest use of Steve. Steve, some are just the site of the schemes, some larger schemes, some are just the summer of Steve, soda to Steve. Sometimes the city states the status of students are just keep some of the state's status of his speeds of autistic savant is that some of the speeds that decides to summarize the state of undress, the 7th Street, decides to use out just eat of this piece, Steve, just to summarize the service to survive, is to summarize the summers to serve the server, as the sun is Steve Summers. The challenge is to summarize the summer as the summer of 2 summers, decide some of the staff to design some of the scenes, summer scheme, some of his team are summarized dishonesty, the star status of Stephen Townsend, just the design is the design scheme to summarize the scene, some are just the dishonesty massages that Steve assigns to use of a scheme, just summarize dishonesty to summarize the use of designers out of steam, the status of Steve's, the design of Steve's son, a dishonest use of his team, just solves those themes of love's strongest piece, keeps a modest use of Steve's riskiness, the use of Steve, some of his team to summarize the use of a steep side, keeps us to use the city's outsides, decides to use a modest use of hat speeds, I just use of his deeds of honesty, I just use of Steve's office, decide to use of Steve's office, decide to use even to summarize the son's August, to use of Steve's Augustine, said I just use of his theme, said the son of Steve, versed in the appearance of Steve, some steepness of honesty to some of his team of scheme sufferers, stir some ashes, TVs of steam, some of his TVs of the scheme, a messiah and a budget, keeps this clean. As a measure of steepness to some of his esteem, as some of the steepness of justice, as a veteran rage. Last one. From the Leçon number 4, this is Jacques Lacan is structured like a language. On Wittgenstein's hard drive. Joug, le joug de Jacques. A casual look for the fact that the contractor of the heat of the involvement of Jacques a œuvré comme je, le king comme je, le choix de consacrer comme je, le joug de consacrer sa chambre à côté, judge and cash a check of correct chocolate. Chocolate de facto, not a casual cache of weapons, one of the top of the back of the fact that half the cost of that comes out of Africa to convert the comme je, le front of the king of the fact of le contrat de Jacques même, and cash Jean-Marc, le joug comme je, le cahier de leçons, the documents, je comme je, check. The car driver was a jar for the chicken, victim of alleged counterfeit money from the stock taker. There were hidden in them, for they are some of your food in Europe and Asia, and these are the roots in your New York room. For beer, convert, you direct your letter to the one you measure. The king meant that the job is a good deal, that you did not bear the comme je, the news of the document for the darker worker, V for the nouvelle vie, for the way the drug stalks the top of la vie. For sure you're young, are you not the worker of the van? One can doubt is all that they never know, sentenced to the vision that meant losing the king, the judge, and the visual image of the design. The front of the move to turn him down from data for a call that would go to call the whole thing as there is a top of Lacan, giving over into school, or well over the law that won't happen, over the map of the flap, over one of the women, have it come back sucking the second half in fact. Lacan, a definite winner of the federal government. However, common to all jobs at home, the path of the father of the duck rabbit has to have an event. But Part found out that the project of the content had a couple over to the event. The common fact to have a couple who doesn't have all the troubles from the couples that no longer form all of them over and over and over. Old wall that was woven from the walls over the front of the oval room. At home, a little over 4 data calls are going over holes, all allure for all to see, but one of their own heat sees it as an OC of Jack McCann, that Lacan fact, that Nico Van Gogh, and then the fact that Van Gogh got the old of the clones in the hole and the whole feast tone is more or less well for you to follow it up with a pillow over it. A bit of a definite rule, a bit of a definite rule. Thanks. I'm going to read one page in French from the beautiful book from René Gagnon. And then Bronwyn's going to read her English translation, and she's going to present René's work a bit. Mon vieux qui s'est fait tuer par ses vieux. Ton vieux qui a l'air vieux. Ta vieille plus jeune que moi. Il y a des choses que je comprends pas, comme l'âge des gens. Et la tête écrabouillée de ton père, le corps fendu de ta mère. Je comprends pas plus que toi comment on parle dans l'Ouest, dans le Nevada. C'est pas pour comprendre que tu pars à cheval. À la recherche de 3 salauds bandits de merde. C'est pour apprendre à tuer un homme, 2, 3, à se venger. C'est pour apprendre à tirer, à te méfier, apprendre à lire en cours de route. C'est pour chercher dans les journaux les noms des 3 salauds bandits de merde de cul. C'est pour apprendre à mal parler, à boire, à fumer. Pot, LSD, peyote, opium, plein de packs de bière, du scotch, c'est sans parler de la coke, c'est sans parler que t'éclates ta tête, puis la mienne sur une voiture, tu t'éclates la tête, tu me tords le bras, m'éclates les veines des yeux d'un jab, c'est sans parler que tu dis toujours je t'aime après, et que ce mot est toujours vrai. Alors t'apprends vite la vie plus vite que toi, tu la rattrapes, cours, tu vas plus vite que toi. Tu rattrapes toujours ton homme. Tu trouves ton homme, tu trouves un homme avec le cheval de ton vieux, tu vois sa cicatrice sur sa joue, tu vois qu'il est ton homme.
So, thanks very much to Steve for reading the French text. As Oana said, it's the translation is from the French of Steve McQueen, Mon Amoureux, so Steve McQueen, my lover. And the Steve McQueen of the poem is not the new art director, the sort of rugged anti-hero from a lot of 60s action flicks and spy movies, who sort of encapsulated an on-screen 60s idea of masculinity, and in his private life an awful lot of misogyny. And the text moves between Steve McQueen's various characters, Steve McQueen's biography, and a sort of fantasized figure, and the I shifts between counter roles in all of those places, so the poem moves back and forth quite a bit. My old man, his old man and old woman got killed. Your old man who looks old, your old woman's younger than me. There's things I don't get, like people's ages and your father's smashed head, your mother's split body. I don't get any more than you do the way they speak in the West, in Nevada. It's not to understand that you leave on horseback, searching for 3 shit son of a bitch bandits. It's to learn how to kill a man. 2, 3, to get revenge. It's to learn how to shoot, to be wary, to learn to read along the way. It's to search the papers for the names of 3 shit-ass son of a bitches. It's to learn to cuss, to drink, to smoke, pot, LSD, peyote, opium, plenty of packs of beer, scotch, to say nothing of the coke. Saying nothing, you bust your head, and then mine, on a car. You bust your head, you twist my arms, burst the veins of my eyes with a jab. Saying nothing, you always tell me, I love you, after, and this word is always true. So you learn life quickly, life quicker than you catch up and it run, you go quicker than yourself, you catch up, you find your man, you find a man in the horse of your old man, you see the scar on his cheek, you see that he's your man. You find him playing cards, you find him, you kick him out, you run him down, you hunt him down, you let the cows out, the cows trample you, you find him, you find yourself under him, you find his side with your neck. With your knife, you see that he's dead, you must find another man. 2. You know one name, not the other. You search for the name that belongs to the bodies, you search for the body that belongs to the name in the paper, the body in a prison. That's what that says, yes. You hold up worse than in St. Louis, a bank. You find yourself in the prison of the man of the name. You know the name, you know the face. You talk like nothing happened, like you know nothing, about nothing, think nothing, expect nothing. You do nothing except save him from a drowning death that you wouldn't have given him. If it's water, it's not you. You want your hands of death. You want, with your hands, to strangle him. To say nothing of the gun that you point at my head, the eyes saying nothing. I wake up sometimes, the gun in my temple, in your hands, and I no longer know who you are. I no longer know what to say, what to convince you of. You'll have his head in your sights, and you plan escaping a canoe in the swamp, the dogs and the men hot on your asses. You'll have his head. We'll leave him in the swamp to get scarfed up by beasts, while you escape alone with the third name. At the mouth of the second, before crying, no, why, give me a chance. Gave you. You take this pitch and name. You say that you're his brother, you search the villages, you drink at night, you sleep on pool tables, you wake up with whiskey. It's just him left. After, you'll be alone. No, not really alone. Alone with me, on the other side of the states, to meet. He calls himself Tom Pitch is the name. You call yourself Tom Pitch. And when Tom Pitch was before Tom Pitch, you call yourself Nevada Smith. You're called nobody in Nevada, 2 heads to avenge that you're called. In the middle of nowhere, you call yourself to wait for the right moment. You join his posse. He takes a shining to you, like everyone takes a shining to your. At go, steal a gold from a gold wagon in transit, ready to fire on everything that moves in and around it. Soon Pitch's head shines at the tip of your barrel. Soon you shoot his arm, 1 knee, 2 knees. Soon you want him to fear like your woman of a mother opened up by a knife. For him to beg, all he can do is ask you to finish him, to finish the job like you did with the others, to finish the job in his head, a bullet for his head, and then it would be finished. Yeller, it's all he knows to say. So you leave him to bleed in the river, and you won't live the past alone. You'll have the third one who will bleed. You'll know he's still there. You could grow old with your old lady, and I'll keep reading. You could talk, go out, ride the highway on your motorcycle. You could grow old. Isn't that happiness, peace? The corners of your eyes are wrinkling, and also at the lips. You'll age in the squint quicker than me. Pink-shirted, you'd like your Josh look, like the posters. When you accept body, time, aging, you become an old man, an old girl's old hand, a veteran of cattle and bandits who takes one last contract. There, the flabby skin under your chin, the dust of life on horseback in the West, The name stronger than ever, the name praised the tables, the name that conquered Geronimo, the name on your last job, Tom Horn, living legend, vigilante, one last time, hasn't lost it with the trigger. You can kill from afar, from up close, for the clean-handed farmers, $200 per head of a cattle feed. And at night, you meet me in my shack. You banish the blood from your head, the images of men running, falling bullets in their stomachs, their backs, your horse that's assassinated, a threat, the horse more faithful than me. You banish all the images, meet me, court me the old-fashioned way, like the cowboy in the West, because you always have to keep courting your wife. It's well known, it's written in the cowboy manual. You break in a horse and you give it to me. You go on, bang, from afar, from up close, hidden on horseback, bang, all $200 a head, all too many thieves, too many dead in the end, the clean-handed farmers who realize that you could dirty them. We want no more of you, you're a danger to the future. You'll fall easily into their trap. They'll put the murder of a kid on your back. It's not possible, it's just not possible. You don't kill kids, you never mistake your target. It's not possible. You're a cowboy on nets, right down to the tip of your gun, saying cowboy antique. You'll fall into their hands, the judges, the police officers. When you attempt to escape, you'll fall to the ground. You'll fall through the trap door. Your body, with a small twist to the left, will fall before my eyes. Tom Horn, legend lives, dies. Tom Horn, dead. Not you. Not you. Thanks.
Before reading two small poems of the publishing Aufgabe issue, I will read older text, older poems from about 20th centuries, was published in 2005. I have the crowned horse harnessed pitten in the thorax of the world. All around, I have my children who are scarlet shouts, plunging dives, circles of ripples. Young children are so transparent, they are frightened, and who are brought to steal, who give their blood in narrow graduated bottles. Thousands upon thousands, crimes upon crimes. Little girls, the remnants of clothes, open shrouds, shroud after shroud, sweat and kisses, kisses and shrouds. Thousands, the little boys with their papier-mâché to make heads with. Thus, I have the terror stricken by reality, their teeth broken on the bumpers of buses. I have real ones lying in the streets of Medellin, that's in Colombia, with the archangels of the apocalypse. It is no armas with black body bags and so little being inside. Shortly after that, I came across a mass grave. I spoke of it to my superior. Mass graves are nearly everywhere nowadays. It doesn't take much flair. You dig with shovel or pickaxe, and you see a body, the foot with its blue stocking, the elbow straight, miraculously vertical. From a distance, the head and the lips eaten away as is proper. I am a few faces, and I disturb some pocket arts. It's part of the century, is the magnum opus, dust unto dust return. It's nothing to save in these sheets of poverty. It was you looking and you looking back at yourself. The light one on a small village in a splendid summer setting. The wind blew across the youth lying in the twilight, fluttered dresses. There were bodies that were calculated backwards because they had returned to their own skulls. Their heart was reversed to see how it would be when it became a heart without a heart. I had a great coat, and I had more than life. I had war and camps. Blood must be spilled. This theater at least will be genuine. Unfold the layers of sheets and count the stacked up bodies again. It was the ceremony for too many living creatures. Shrouds are opened. I place a mechanical piano in the grave. Here, my love, here's the bug. My pain was gone. There was something in all that of reality exactitude. It was the memory of destroyed things, the fates of sacrifice. It was going to take bundles, shroud-filled silos, fields, shroud-filled plains, mountains and mountains of shrouds. I was multiple dizzy spells. I thought of the sun in its hole in the sky. It was like a bed with two dual furrows and dual abysses. A person is primarily a bottomless gulf. It's the certainty of the century, and it's not on the other side of the world. A bridge was built of vanished wood, fine gold nails, fine platinum bolts. The human species walked over it slowly, imbued with the theology of the void. Miraculous was what was said about things in the mass grave. The girl, with her buttocks rebounded, is still wearing her shoes. She's almost not a person anymore. The machinery will have to be retaught. The blood of the poor is not interesting anymore. What's needed is shovels, arms, hands. What's really needed is masks. Discussions ensued, discussion about old rifles, old skin mixed with earth, inside the earth. I was the desires to undo things. I was the beauty of the dead bodies heaped and twisted together. And I was here, and over there, a bizarre lefty head with her words of love between two shoulder blades. It was with half open things, no lack. It was in youth and dresses, no lack. It had to do with whatever was essentials called by quicklime. The quicklime is a summer night, open and open night. Quicklime is quick thought. It consumes. It's a small miracle. Sorry for my terrible accent. Tu me fais tout déconstruire. Je suis l'inhabité. C'est politique comme l'effondrement, avec l'insupportable de mes anges petits pourris, révulsés, répugnés par mes langues. Communion première et chaotique avec la mort. Je suis une âme, trop de mots, aux saintes ailes de fer blanc tout autour. C'est le maelstrom de ma tête, tache noire et cœur panique. Un être, un tireur, un autre fou armé par homme triste. Je n'existe que dans la caresse trouée, les désirs répandus dans les lits, nous, anges plastifiés, couchés dans nos pauvres réels, longs anges dépourvus de tout, longs draps par-dessus pour nous couvrir le paradis perdu. You make me disconstruct it all. I am the uninhabited. It's political, like collapsing with the intolerable of my angel, small swine, revolted, repelled by my tongues, primal and chaotic communions with death. I am a soul, too many words, unsaintly, tin-plated, wings all around. It's the monstrum of my head, black marks and panicked art. A being, a gunman, another madman armed by his sadness. I only exist in the pierced caress, the desires scattered in beds. We, plasticized angel, prone in our poor realities, long angels deprived of all, long sheets over us to cover up the lost paradise. Agony was on the move. I burned the sting into the sacred linens. Our beauties were solitary. We knelt down in our beings as frightened deer. My disaster remained on the crust of the poor. To relieve my appendage or need, I lift without stopping the soldiers' crinolines. Reality kisses me and opens my gullet. I breathe at least the monster of myself. I no longer inhabit anything, this great old or this unreal body with the generosity of bones, beauty of black angels. A bag of ashes protects me from the dream. All my dead are idols. They have my head between their teeth. Thank you very much.
I just want to say thank you to Tracy Cornell and Litmus Press and the whole Litmus Press team, but particularly to Tracy, without whom this would not exist. And as well, I'd like to thank the Poetry Project and Simone White for hosting. And I'd like to thank you for coming. There is also a book, and I'd like to thank the poets and translators, of course, for and there's a book table with books on it of Aufgabe, of course, this issue, which is normally $12, but is $10 tonight, or less if that's too much for you. Or more if you feel generous. And there are also books of some of the other authors who have books in English. And so thank you again. Voilà.